What's up everyone, SACKPHASE here, back with another video. Been wanting to make this video for a while, but now that I've won both RBET and YCS, I feel like I'm more certified to make this video, I guess you could say. There's always been a few misunderstandings and differences between the YCSs and RBET rulings. There's only a few, so I just want to speak on those today and clarify them. And I'm not talking about like Sirocco pump being permanent. That's happened both at Nationals and at Raleigh, where there was a judge who thought Sirocco pump was permanent, and that was crazy. But yeah, we'll just go through some of them right now. So the first change I want to talk about between YCSs and RBETs is time. It's probably the most important thing. It's not a ruling, but it is a policy change. So for those who don't know, at RBETs, time is 45 minutes, and then when time is called, the current turn player is turn 0, and you do turn 0, 1, 2, 3, back and forth. At the end of turn 3, whoever has more life is the winner of that game. And then for the boomers like me who only play Edison, at YCSs, they use current format policy rules for time. So that's 45 minutes instead of 40. But then when time is called, you play out until only the current phase. So you play till end of phase, and then whoever has more life is the winner of that game. I personally like current format time rulings more. I know that's really unpopular opinion, but I almost never go into time, and it does make the tournament run noticeably faster. So the thing with YCSs though, the Ultimate Time Wizard is the side event, obviously, so there's no big ass clock anywhere for you to keep track of time. The judges were telling everyone to use stuff like Neuron or your own watch to keep track of time. For me, I was asking the judges for time, almost like I was pestering them a lot. Like if I'm side decking in between games, or my opponent might be taking a while on their turn, I would ask a judge who's walking by, like, hey, what's the time? Just to make sure I have plenty of time left and play at a reasonable pace. I will also say though, ties happen more frequently with current rules because people are less aware of how much time is left. A player in top 8 at Raleigh did not keep track of time. So they were in game 3 and he activates Solemn Judgment on a card. I don't remember what it was, but he activates Solemn Judgment and time is called 10 seconds later. If he had not activated Solemn and just let his opponent play out his turn, I believe he would have won. But because he didn't know how much time was left, he wasn't even thinking about that. So yeah, keeping track of time is really, really important, obviously. And top 8 at a YCS, if you hit time at end of the 45 minutes, because there can't be a draw in top 8, they make it so that it's just sudden death after that. If at the end of the phase both players have the same amount of life, you just play until a change of life occurs, I believe. And then one other thing to note about time is, say you know you're going to time game 3. I know this is true for both time rules, but you should probably take out cards like Solemn, obviously. Stuff like Return from a Different Dimension, My Body is a Shield, probably not the greatest in time. So changing your side patterns, maybe even putting like more aggro cards like Cyber Dragon. It's just definitely a strategy and definitely a real thing that doesn't happen as frequently for online players as it does in real life. So just another like skill to have, I guess. Okay, so probably the ruling that gets everyone confused between RBETs and YCS tournaments is Mind Crush. Mind Crush is ruled very differently in YCSs and RBETs, and even on edisonformat.net, it says like ask your head judge if they are using historically accurate ruling. So the historically accurate ruling is if your opponent discarded at least one card, they don't reveal their hand. At RBETs, if I were to activate Mind Crush, let's say I use it right here, and I know my opponent searched Armageddon Knight with Rhoda, and RBET, the opponent would have to discard their Armageddon Knight, and they'd still have to reveal their hand. It's just making sure players don't cheat, I guess. But you do get the added benefit of getting card knowledge of your opponent's hand, so that's really big. So at RBET, if not all legal copies were discarded and accounted for, your opponent will still have to reveal their hand. At a YCS, they kind of try to protect the player, I guess, even though it allows for more cheating. But at YCS, if I were to Mind Crush and call Armageddon Knight, my opponent would discard Armageddon Knight. Hopefully, they just search it off Rhoda. But they would not have to reveal the rest of their hand. So this is just to prevent players from getting unfair, I guess, advantage from cards like Mind Crush. So the one thing I will say though is at an RBET tournament, basically Mind Crush is buffed, you could say. Like, I would consider siding Mind Crush in more matchups I normally wouldn't, such as like Hero Beat, because they search a lot, but you don't really care too much if you go 1-for-1 hitting an Alias. But you guys see the rest of their hand, so that's something to consider. Okay, and then the last ruling that's kind of confusing is cards like Consecrated Light, Rivalry of Warlords, and Gozen Match. So, if you don't know, in Edison format, it's ruled that if I have like something like Caius in hand, I could tribute over Consecrated Light for Caius. Like, that is legal in Edison format. The same would be true if one of these two are face up on the field, since I only have one other monster. By tributing it, it kind of like resets the type or attribute. But obviously in modern rulings, that's not true anymore. That was changed. I'm not sure when that was changed, but you can't do that right now. And then because of that, there's been some confusion because I believe at a few YCSs prior, it was ruled that it was the same as modern, where you are not even allowed to attempt to tribute tribute over Consecrating this point, since you already control a light monster, or in Consecrated's case, you can't attempt to summon a dark monster over it. But I've confirmed with a judge that that's not true anymore. They are hopefully going to be consistent with it and make it true to Edison, where you are allowed to tribute over a monster such as Consecrated, or when Rivalry and Gozen's up, you are allowed to do that. So, and that's going to be true for RBETs as well, obviously, since RBET is trying to use Edison format rulings. So hopefully going forward, there's no longer dispute over this between YCSs and RBETs. Hey everyone, thanks for watching. If you like this type of content, or just like Edison format in general, please consider subbing. I'll be doing my best to make more and more of this type of content for you guys. Thank you.